and you don't have a game, there's a good chance you could get a game. We have had some situations occur with injuries, some family situations, some work situations. There hasn't been a day that I haven't had to assign or reassign a game this season, and we still have 2 weeks left. It's going to be busy because we had a bunch of middle school games canceled. We had a bunch of varsity games canceled that are going to keep popping up here. So there's still plenty of games out there. Um, as far as middle school games, Steve, you have been the man at making sure I get information about B games that were played. The best thing to do if you are at a middle school game and you are asked to do the B game, you got to send me a text right away. If you put it in the game report, sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle. If you send me an email or a text, I will get the B game put in immediately. I'll accept it for you. That's the best thing to do. Um, Other than that, everybody's done a great job. Thanks for your flexibility. Thanks for filling in when you can. And 2 more weeks, let's finish strong. That's all I got.
Yep. Thank you, JP. I know it's been a little bit of a difficult year with changes and things like that. And everybody's been great. So, like you said, keep it up. And the angry emails will come. They'll just probably come to me. So, all right, Mike, if you're on here, anything, VP report, mentorship, anything you want to share?
Yeah, I've had some great reports back from whether they're the mentor or just someone that's working with some of the new guys. I've had some good reports. Everything seemed to be running fairly well. On the other side, I'm waiting for the list to put together our playoff officials that I can send off to JP and Greg. I should have that done by the next day or two.
Excellent. Mike Hernandez, youth lacrosse.
I just want to thank for everybody for helping me cover the past 5 weeks of youth games. We got everything covered with all two-man. There's 1 week left. I sent an email out like an hour ago. There's games at Camden, so if you're available, just let me know. That way we can get those covered. But I just want to thank everyone for helping me get those covered.
Excellent. And Brett, are you on with anything incident related? He can't find the mute button on the flip phone. Or he just logged in for attendance purposes and is left.
Greg, you might be able to unmute him. Can you unmute him?
Can't find the unmute button.
It's because he doesn't know how to use technology.
Freaking math teachers. Let me see if I can unmute him. I can ask him to unmute.
I can fill in for him. Thank you, Mr. Bolger. I appreciate it. Everyone's done a great job with your reports. Just keep it up.
I think he's unmuted. He's still not talking, which is not a bad thing. I'll just fill in one thing about the incident reports. I think I shared this in the last meeting, and we've continued with a pretty good experience with it. The DIA changed the format that Brett reports the incidents. And actually now the report is a kind of living document. So we can go back and look and see what that the AD received it, that he had a conversation with the player, the coach, whoever it was, and we can also see what kind of the resolution was, and then we can also see when the DIAA looks at it, and they approve it. We've also had a couple good conversations over a few incidents, and I'll cover a little bit that later with a couple of problem coaches. And ways we're kind of trying to work through things. But the system, at least from knowing when we file an incident, whether it's an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty or an overly aggressive hit or a coach's issue, we can see they're being addressed, which we've never been able to see before. We literally filled out a form on the internet, and that would be the end of it unless it was something major. So that's very positive. So I think it's good, and you guys have been great about getting those incident reports in, and they're generally, I think, pretty thorough. So
Hey, Greg. Mr. Townsend can't find the unmute button, so he asked me to pass on a message. He just wanted to thank everyone for getting him the all pertinent information, and that he has ADs reaching out to him, asking questions, addressing concerns, and then that things are being addressed, I guess, with the teams.
So yes, very good. And we thank Brett. It's a kind of thankless job. And he does a great job getting those in. And I think with the changes the DIA made and his persistence with it, you will hopefully see some changes in behavior, but it does make it easier to identify issues and kind of work through those. All right. So year end, we kind of go through this every year. The end of the year is, last 2 weeks of the season. You have some teams who are trying to make the playoffs. I looked at it today, and there's probably 9 or 10 teams looking to fit into the last 3 or 4 spots. So every game becomes important, every play becomes important, every call becomes important. So just keep that in mind, and try where you can to talk coaches off the ledge. And try and be understanding, but of course, if they cross those lines, we have to handle it. For many of the kids, and hopefully a couple of the coaches, it's the end of their career. Not for the kids, but for the coaches. It may be the last time they ever play a team sport. It may be the last time they represent their school, or do anything like that. So it can be an emotional time and a big time, and be understanding game management is critical. Know before you go in kind of what you're dealing with the game. Work with your partners. You can look through websites for sports and kind of get a guess of what's going on, and be ready to know, do I have a game that has big playoff implications? What are the things that could happen? Are there things, ways we need to look at things before we go in? And certainly as you end your pre-games, which you should all be having more so now, make sure you understand that all these players are potentially playing on the last and biggest stage of their life. And then the last thing Mike touched on at playoff officials, just for the new officials, the way we select playoff officials, each member of the board will provide a list to Mike. Also through that, we seek some input through some senior members and members of some of our committees to get an idea of who is where. Film definitely is helping this year to see, where guys will slot for the playoffs. And you will start to hear if you got playoff assignments sometime after May the 17th.
Greg,
Greg, man, go ahead, Jippy.
Greg, can you please send out an email with the playoff dates so that officials can block or unblock themselves?
I will add that out. Yep.
Greg, one of the coaches said something to me in pregame about the playoffs. He said, "Do you know the DIAA has a limit as to how many players could stand on the sidelines?"
Yes. Yeah, I'm
And
dealing
I
with
said-
that. I'm dealing with that right now. Yes.
He made a request to me that I'll pass it on to you, that if they practice with the team all year, they're all members of the team, even if they don't see the field. And this might be, a good motivation for them to push and practice harder next year. So the more guys on the sidelines, the better.
You wouldn't get any disagreement from the chairman of the tournament committee, There's other factors at work there that we could talk about off the record.
That was what
yeah.
he said to me. And
Yep.
he's one of the top 2 teams in the state. And he said that to me and I agreed. So I said, I'll pass it along to Greg. I'm just doing that. There it is.
Yeah. And I've talked to both coaches at length of the top 2 teams in the state for the last 3 years trying to get this changed. And someday maybe we will. So thank you, George. All right. We will have a pre-playoff meeting Sunday, the 18th at 6 p.m. By then we'll have a list of who is at least we'll have the list of who will potentially get playoffs. And then an invitation will be sent out for that meeting. It's certainly open even to officials who aren't selected for the playoffs or are applicants, so they can kind of see what that process is like. And to have that one. Again, the banquet and our awards, Tuesday, June 4th. Please have that on your calendar. We'd love
Greg,
to have.
that's Wednesday though. You have Tuesday. The banquet's a Wednesday.
Okay, you're right.
Right.
You're right.
Right. So go back to that. Go
Good
back one
catch.
slide.
Well, now you fucked me all up.
I'm sorry. Right. Yeah.
Damn it.
The
All right.
fourth is a Wednesday, and that's what we have. Reserved.
Yeah. Yes. No,
Right.
I that's my fault and my lack
Right.
of proofreading. So Wednesday, June 4th, and that's what's on the calendar as well.
Right.
So is our banquet. I mean, we have 37 guys here tonight. We have close to 50 total on our roster. It would be awesome to fill that room up. And I find it always to be a great day. So please make sure you have that planned out. And then Mike Barlotta will be sending out golf information very soon. It's a lot of pressure on the reigning champions. But we're ready to take on all comers. Despite people who just want to willy-nilly change the rules and things like that. So we'll see how it goes. And then the senior all-star game is Tuesday, June 10th. The time only is tentative. That 6 p.m. time. Waiting to find out from the foundation how they're going to do that.
Mr. Bulger, are you there?
I am.
Okay, hi. Okay, so you can all hear me then?
Yes.
All right, thanks. Just want to say that my wife figured out my microphone mute button on my keypad was highlighted, and that meant that's why I couldn't talk. All right, I'm out.
Okay. Very good. Maybe it was on your yellow watch. So the senior all-star game is a lot of fun. We do put up kind of a ceremonial crew to start the game, but anybody in our association, including applicants, are eligible to come out, and we rotate through officiating. It's a lot of fun. And we usually are able to have a nice little tailgate. I know did receive a message from our tailgate czar that he may not be available, so we might be looking for something, but we will work through that in the next few weeks. All right, moving on. Summer lacrosse. JP recently sent out what our events are. I'm going to ask him to just send them out again. We're trying to get our bigger events assigned very early. As a member of DLOA, you should have our events as your priority on those weekends and dates before working for other assigners. You're certain.
Some events were already sent out and returned because they weren't accepted in the 7 days. Same thing applies. You got to accept them, and they were sent because you said you were available to work those specific dates. The big ones I want to get covered as soon as possible because they conflict with Mr. Kubak, and I don't feel like dealing with his anger if some of you guys are double booked.
That's funny.
The biggest thing I can say is do not commit. Do not say, Kubak, yes, I am available. Just say my availability is up to date in Arbiter. I'm hoping to get, our two biggest ones assigned over the next, well, the schedules aren't out yet, but I'm hoping to get you locked up over the next 2 or 3 weeks for those two big ones.
So if you're not sure, email JP, but he'll send something out tomorrow, the next day with those dates again. And if you're available, we can get you, kind of reserved, locked up. You'll have games and probably quite a few games. As far as other assigners, you're independent contractor. You're free to work with who you feel comfortable working with or want to work with. And we do try, as especially the assigners who come into the state, Look for officials. We give out our list of names. And there's plenty of those games as well throughout the summer.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Please.
For the new guys, yeah. If I don't have games for you, I will find you games either through Powers, Manfuso, Kubak, sometimes Sheehan. But if you don't get any from our big two tournaments, there are other things going on around the tri-state area that we will find work for you.
JP,
Yes,
JP,
yes, Mr. Harvey.
do you have anything up there on the 7th and 8th of June?
Why don't we just wait
yeah,
for the
I'll send
email
it out.
instead of asking for all the
Well, no,
dates?
the only reason I'm asking is because Manfuso is coming up to Kirkwood and he was looking for people, and I didn't want him to steal your people if you had something going on.
I'll send it out tomorrow. I'm not sure. I don't have my calendar up right now.
Okay, because also I talked to Walsham today and he said he responded to you, but he never heard anything, so I didn't know. I said you were probably inundated with high school right now. You probably weren't dealing with tournaments yet. That's all.
All right. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Make sure you keep your availability up to date. If you don't want to work in the summer, you can't work on weekends, just go ahead and block them off. If it's the whole summer, just go uncheck the ready to be assigned button. That makes things much easier when JP goes to assign. It also would keep you out of any of the summer leagues or anything like that if they come available. And then our uniform for DLOA, you can go to allsportsofficials.com. Everything is there. This QR code will take you right to our store. Gray t-shirt. If you want to wear kind of the hoop type of shirt or hawk fishing shirt, there's something similar to that on there with the gray sleeves, black shorts, black socks, black or black and white shoes. So basically the idea there is you get something maybe with a white sole to be on hot turf. It's not to wear white shoes or ugly green shoes or anything like that. We still want to wear the black or black and white shoes, a white baseball hat. And for our events, if you're working something for DLOA, it should be a baseball hat and not a boonie hat or anything like that. And then sunglasses are allowed and encouraged for the UV protection. All right. Anything else on summer? Anything I'm missing? Anything in the chat? All right.
I do
Very
not
good.
believe so. No. Oh, someone asked, I have seen religious writing on tape on helmets. Is that okay?
Don't be that. Yeah, it's fine.
I answered in the chat. We're not going to get involved in this.
Sorry, Dave.
I can't imagine a coach having an opposing coach having an issue with it, but your answer is direct your questions to JP, the state rules interpreter.
And hopefully everybody read the email. So just to give you some context, we've gotten communications from the DLOA specifically about iBlack, not just to our sport, but to other sports. It's not just a stupid rule in lacrosse. It's a stupid rule in other sports, and we're stuck enforcing it. We also did have a situation in a game where a coach did admit he waited until late in the game to point out to our referees jewelry that did not comply. My recommendation is when you meet with the coaches, ask them if they have any problems with the way the other team is equipped or anything about what's going on. And hopefully that prevents any of that kind of stuff. We've also sent something to the coaches saying, look, if a coach in the fourth quarter all of a sudden notices your kid has jewelry on or decide, iBlack is out of specification, and it indeed is. Our hands are tied. We kind of stuck enforcing it. Because if we don't enforce it, the next question comes out, well, what other rules are we choosing to enforce or not enforce? So try and take care of it early. My thing is, I don't think we should be penalizing the kids directly, but if a coach brings it up, it's kind of like a stick check. You're kind of stuck. All right. So I sent a playlist out today. I know sometimes when we look at videos over Zoom, they're a little hard to see. So I sent out the videos for this playlist today. So you could kind of look at them, and then we're going to kind of go over. You can, if you want to discuss, we'll have short discussions on each one. I don't want to belabor any of them, but some of them may have a little bit differing opinions or questions about what we're doing. Feel free to ask. I will go back in after the meeting and put in the comment section, what kind of what we're looking at for each clip, just like I did with other playlists. All right, so here's our playlist for today's training meeting. And you all should have seen this. So this gets done. All right, so let's take a look at this clip right here. And let's figure out what people think they have or don't have. All right. Anybody think we had a call?
It might just be me because I'm driving, but that was super choppy.
That's why I said that it was on. If you can, we're going in order of the huddle playlist. So this is the first clip. So you can go look at that. I'll try to play it one more time. It's probably at Delaware City Internet.
He's in Lewis.
In Lewis. All right. Anybody have anything?
Well, I think the kid was disadvantaged by the broken stick being in front of the ball, so maybe could have given it to White there.
Okay, Chris, I want to ask you a question. Where in the rule book does it say a disadvantage by a broken stick
Right. I don't know.
is any kind of procedure?
All right. You're right. Doesn't. Right.
I mean, I'm
Well,
not picking on you.
broken goalie stick can stop play, obviously, but
That's totally different.
Right. Uh-huh.
So,
Mhm.
but
and obviously, if the ball was still in the stick or under the stick, that would be different too. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
There's only 2 times a stick laying on the ground would stop play. The ball stuck in the stick, or if the attacker's stick is laying in the crease only.
Okay. Nice.
Anybody else have any input? Okay, so what we're looking for here is playing without a stick, right? Illegal procedure. And it's a broken stick, and a broken stick is considered
right. And the player doesn't get involved
no
in the play. He's out. Right. Yeah.
Right. So, that's really kind of the question here.
Right.
So if I slow it forward, the feed, it's a loose ball when the check occurs.
I mean, there could have been a little body contact there without the head. Maybe you could call it that. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, we don't want to be that good.
Right.
So this came up in a question. And it's anytime you see a stick on the ground, there's 800 coaches yelling, playing without a stick, right? So we wanted to just be clear that if you go into Rule 6, I wrote it down. I'm sorry. Yes, 6.5 Article 2B, I believe. We don't have any contact, and the contact doesn't necessarily have to be advantage, disadvantage. It's just there's no contact. He checks the kid, looks at his stick. The kid tries to pick up the ball, he can't, and the blue team ends up with the ball. The other question that came out of this from the coach, and from a very long time coach, he was under the impression that player had committed some kind of infraction by stopping, picking up the stick, and carrying it off the field. And the rule book says nothing about leaving it, taking it, or anything like that. And that could be a discussion that could go on forever. But the player can do either. He just cannot participate and play without his stick. Any questions? All right, so let's take a look at this one, and we're looking to see if we have a penalty. And we do, you'll see a flag at the end, but don't just go by that. All right. Somebody weigh in. What do we got?
Offsides on blue.
You
Really?
cut out. Say it again, Kenny.
Offsides on blue.
I don't believe there.
No, off
There
the
are-
face. I don't think so.
I counted 8.
It's a face-off, and they just started.
No, they're talking about the check the kid throws where he spins and throws the backhanded check, and the guy throws.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was counting the official. I'm sorry.
Oh, right.
The
Yeah.
official, I'm sorry.
The
I was
crowd liked the
confused.
call. The crowd agreed with the call.
So, and this is one I think I liked it because I think we miss a lot. You got a face-off kid who just lost a face-off, and he absolutely goes after this kid. And a lot of people would pass on this because it's the first swing. But to me, does anybody disagree with the slash call there?
No, swing was uncontrolled. He just completely wound up on it.
And there's the word. Great. Thank you, Chris. Okay. It's a good call because it's kind of excessively violent. It's uncontrolled. He didn't really have a chance to dislodge the ball, and he ends up hitting the kid right in the arm. And it's one I think we pass a lot, and I commend Connor, one of our newer officials, on catching that. And that's good game management because now that kid, he would probably go harder and harder and harder if we didn't address it. So we've addressed it, and we've done a nice job. All right. So this one, you go back. Let's watch this real quick. Okay, so what was one of our points of emphasis this year? Somebody
5 yards in from the box. First
get the ball 5 yards in, okay? And they do a very nice job here getting this player in 5 yards, even though he did not appear to be able to hear. The coach is trying to get him out, the referee, and then he even tries to sneak back in a little bit closer right before, right before we start play. And the official does a great job of bringing it back, settling the restart, and also making sure he had 5 yards on the restart and there were no issues. And again, that's game management. And does anybody want to comment why it's important to get that guy 5 yards off the line and potentially delay his quick restart? If we're going to do this stuff, we got to believe it might be important. So somebody's got to have an opinion.
My guess is this: if he's too close to the line, and then the defender comes at him and he steps back, he's going to step out of bounds. Or if you're near the box, someone comes in from the box, let's say in a transition, they're going to be one step, they're going to be right on top of him. So that's
Right.
probably why you want him 5 yards away.
So let's just say that you have a yellow kid here, okay, or yellow, white, whatever color they are. And as soon as he blows the whistle, he starts to run right now. How far away is he when play starts?
Yeah, he's less than 5 yards. But
He's
he's out
2
of
yards
bounds.
away. Even though he
Yeah, but he's-
started here, he's 2 yards away. But everybody's going to yell, well, he was way back here. So
Right.
we want to make sure that we get a good, clean restart right here. So it's important. And I've seen it several times on film where we've done a good job and I've seen it other times where we've blown the whistle and almost gotten ourselves in a lot of trouble. It's a lot of shit when you have a ball out of bounds going on near the box, and a lot of chances for problems. So make sure we get them out 5 yards. And the other thing we want to make sure, very often the ball goes out of bounds here, and invariably the kid's going to try and bring it in bounds here. So we should always be starting where the ball went out of bounds.
Greg, the only thing, great job here. The only thing, and is that Connor again?
Yeah.
The
I
only
didn't want to
thing,
give Connor 2 props.
I know, but he did a great job here. The only thing I would say is I would rather have you on his left side so you are closer to the sideline in case, this kid, I think if the clip rolls on, he goes to the middle of the field. But if he went
Yeah.
to the outside of the field and he gets on that line or they push him on the sideline, it's hard for you to see from the position you took. So make sure when you restart, you are more towards the sideline instead of the middle of the field. It's
Yeah.
going to give you
And
a
I think-
better view of the sideline than anything else. That's the only thing. But bringing him back out, that was perfect. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, and what JP's saying here is the best way to do this is to come right to where you want him to start. So if you want him to start here, you stand here. Say we're starting here, we're starting here. As soon as he comes in, loop back inside. Don't loop outside. So that's all. Little mechanical thing, but it's great that we took the time. It's also very good that we got the support of a coach. Normally what happens here is these 3 coaches start to yell, then these 8 players start to yell, and it just becomes annoying. So very good. All right, let's get to the next one. All right. Anybody see anything good, bad, or otherwise about the mechanics here? All right, let me play it one time. Anybody got anything there on the mechanics?
Hey, Greg. It looks like the lead official, he leaves his end line responsibility for like a slight second. So I think is that Friends players heading towards the goalpost along the end line, the lead comes back towards goal line.
Let me look at it because I actually was going in a positive direction.
I've got the lead official is right on the line to be able to see the player step out of bounds.
Yeah. And that's the point. He might take a step back, but my point here, and I don't see this a lot. There's very little question that this kid stepped out of bounds or didn't step out of bounds. Too often we're trying to make this call from over here. And you can't honestly say you can see if he touched the line or didn't touch the line or even what's going on. So this is a great job by Marco DeKay of being all the way down at the line. And the other point I wanted to make, and I don't know if this is Connor again or this is Senor Martinez, but they're right on GLE and they're a good, they're right where they need to be to cover this entire play. And the good thing here is, he steps out of bounds and he has them out of bounds. So my point there is that's why, 3-man, we have that ability. You should always be down with the restart. Always get down. Alexa, turn on basement lights. Thank you. I don't know why the fuck they went off, but all right. I'm going to play this one real quick. I think somebody was out of order, already gave it away, but let's check it out. So what do we have?
Well, gold's offsides or white's offsides or whatever they are, color they are.
Yep. Gold's offsides. Everybody agree? All right. And then why didn't we catch that offsides?
I don't see where the trail is. I can't.
Okay. Well, the trail's actually, I'm going to be honest, the trail is right where the trail should be.
Okay.
Okay, because let's look again. I'm going to back it up.
Did we release the midfield too early then maybe?
So here's the goalie, right?
Yep.
And we can't see him, but our trail is here. So
Right.
he's
I didn't-
5-7 yards behind, which is perfect. Because if this guy drops the ball, which he's a high school lacrosse player, he's highly likely to do that, he's still in position. Okay, so it's not the trail.
It's a single.
The single should
Okay.
be still on midline.
He should be on the midline, but I can't see this. Is he
Right.
there?
He's already started cheating down here.
Right. And
The
everybody hasn't
goalie has
crossed
the
over
ball
yet.
here.
Right.
This
Yeah.
guy is the guy that's going to catch the ball. He's the 6th player over. Okay. So he goes over. 6,
And there's
7. Okay, but our trail is still working up and he's here. So we want to stay, and this is one of the things about a single. You want to stay here until play is clearly beyond the midline, and that way you can catch those. And obviously here the official did not hold long enough. Actually, when the play, let me go back to it again, I'll show you. So when it replays, all right, so right there, the goalie's there with the ball. And our single's already 5 or 6 yards down. Okay. So this is where we need to trust our partners. This is where we need to trust, the lead needs to kind of realize, hey, everything's very slow. So I'm kind of down here by myself for a few minutes. And then as soon as the single can be released, to take off. All right, but that's one that we can catch pretty easy. All right, let's look at this one on the face-off violation. All right, anybody have any comment on that?
Kicking the cross.
Okay. I'm looking, it was kicking the stick. All right. But what I'm looking at the mechanics a little bit. All right. So who called the violation?
Stu from down low called it.
No.
The helper.
Yeah.
The helper.
The helper.
Right.
Okay. And the only thing, and this maybe I'm being a little picky here. All right. So, Stuart blows the whistle and he, perfect. It's his job. But he gives a very quick and short signal. And then I would just like to see this guy also at least put his arm out and point. That's kind of my point of this one, is we just can communicate that better. This one, everybody seemed to know what was going on, but there's a lot of times when nobody really knows the whistle's blown and the ball and people are why. We want to be very direct that we're going in that direction. Make sense?
Yes.
He does do a nice job of getting the ball, getting the ball and the player up to midline and conducting the face-off. All right, so this one, what I liked about this, I'll play it one time. So Whitehead had it in the box, and Black picked it up, and then White picked it up again. And what I thought was great about this was we had the multiple.
HDMI 2 on here, but where's HDMI 1? Where's HDMI 3? It's not on here. The reason why it's not on here is because you first need to connect the device to HDMI 1, HDMI 3. Once you connect it once, and then you go ahead and unplug it, it's always going to show.
There, I unplugged you. So when Black picks up the ball, Mike twirls, so everybody knows, okay, I've reset it. He's on his 20-second count. The ball is very quickly turned over. All right, and somebody already went in and commented on this, so which is good. All right, so he picks it up, and Mike Amir puts his hand down and tells everybody it's in the box. And I think that's very important communication, so everybody knows. The trail now knows that we're back to having over and back in play, so on and so forth. So I did, true story, have a coach tell me this year that he saw my partner swing his arm 13 times. So this way, there's no question that we had to reset, we had to touch it in the box and all that. So that was a nice job. All right, this next one again, I want to look at it real quick. So we had 2 flags down on this play, and then we had a goal scored. And I just want to look at how we signaled this and talk about a couple things.
Blue 22, 1 minute slash. Blue 22, 1 minute slash. 1 man down.
All right, I think they mic'd Mike Wilbur up for that, even though you never need to mic up. Bad dad joke, but anyway, I mean, he does a good job of communicating what the fouls are. The only thing I think we want to get in a habit as a group to do is when we're going to signal these fouls, especially after goal, get to the midline where everybody can see you, get your feet set. Okay. And in that situation, the first thing we want to do is say, we had a good goal. Let everybody know right away. The goal was good. Okay. We had 2 penalties. And you're going to say black was offsides. You can actually give the offside signal, then wave the flag and say the penalty time is wiped off or no penalty time will be served. So that one's done. Then go to the next one, but then we had black 21 / 1 minute. Give the face-off signal. We'll have a man down face-off. And just be very clear. Okay, this is just a situation where a lot of times you end up with a lot of confusion and things like that. So it's just a matter of slowing down the signal, and also the idea that we want to have that good goal first. Make sure everybody understands we had a good goal. Even though the lead official in this sequence, we had a goal, we had an offsides, that no penalty time will be served. The foul's not wiped off, but the penalty time is. And we also had a live ball slash, which will be served for 1 minute. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, the slash would have been pretty much in the act of shooting, right? Because I mean, obviously, if we'd had a second flag now, we would have stopped playing before then.
Well, we don't. I would guess so. Yes.
Right. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah, it's been so long since I looked at it, and I'm more focused just on the signaling.
Right.
So, but yes, in either situation.
Right.
Well, all right. Let's take a look at this one real quick. This is a good lesson in crease play. All right. Weigh in.
Can you run it again? I think he was pushed on the crease by the defender, but right.
Okay. So we have a push, then he's in the crease.
Right.
All right. Did anybody see anything with the way that play finished?
Well, both officials had their hands up. There should have been a
Right.
flag. Should have been a flag, and I just think it went on too long. They should have killed it right away.
So you will notice, okay, so the
He
ball
ends up, he hits the
ball
goal.
comes
Well,
out.
the goalie gets taken out, so you gotta stop.
Okay, I know.
Right.
You have 2 guys calling a play on. Okay, is this a play on situation?
I don't think so.
Oh,
you
because
have a-
White's in the crease, right?
You have a guy in the crease. Okay, and then
No.
just the other point. Where's the flag come from? I'll go back. Watch it
Almost
one
looks like
time.
a cross check.
It could be a cross
It
check.
definitely could have been a. It could have been a. Yeah.
You definitely had a foul. Okay, there's no question. You had a guy in the crease. All right, and the flag comes from the trail. So it's not a well officiated play overall. What we really want to see here, first of all, and again, this is something coming to playoffs, and things going up and teams getting a little better. You see more close to the crease. So I don't think we have any argument of the first two things. He's in the crease and he was pushed, right? Anybody have anything different? Okay, he was pushed and or cross-checked. Okay. Now it could be Coach Reynolds and slow this all the way down and show you that his hand was actually on his back, so maybe it wasn't a cross-check, but we're not going to argue that. That's a joke. Okay, where should the flag come from in this situation? Who's responsible for
From the
Single.
The single. No.
Should
well,
be
no.
definitely the
The
trade.
official of the bottom right, the bottom right.
Yeah, that's a single.
It's just-
Okay, we want that flag wherever possible from coming from
Behind. Right.
from the single side.
Right.
Okay. No, Mark, that's a photographer. We have so he should be clued in immediately. Okay, I see a player's back, so he should be looking at the back and looking for the pushes and other things, right? The official here should be the one to be blowing it dead for it being in the crease. All right. So in most cases on this side, we want that flag to come from here. If we flipped it, the flag would probably come from the lead. The point is the flag really needs to come from here, because if it's close, the question is always going to be, how could, if I was a coach, I'd be right away asking, okay, how can he see it better than these two and throw the flag? Okay, the flag had to be thrown. It was the right flag. We definitely had something. And especially since Black comes out running away with the ball.
Hold on.
Okay. Everybody got it? Okay, so the idea here is just crease play, and we should talk about this in almost every pregame. Okay, if it's coming towards you, you've got the feet. If it's going away from you, you've got the back. And we can't be afraid to make those calls and throw those flags. All right. Any questions? Any wrap up on that? All right. Now to the fun stuff.
Behind.
All right. Weigh in. I want to hear a couple of different ideas of what we got. I'll play it again.
Behind.
All right. Open your mics up and let me hear you.
He had his head down, so it was
to the head.
It looks like it was a headshot. Yep. High.
shot, but he was unsuspected player. He was looking down.
Did not have access to it. So,
So unsuspecting, would that be the same as defenseless?
Defenseless, whatever. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy had got his head down. He had his head down, and he got taken out, and he got hit in the head.
Exactly. Yep. So it's
That would be more than a 1 minute penalty.
exactly. So let's just look at it, because these are good to look at. So he right there, he's looking straight down, right? I'm gonna go forward a little bit. He's looking. He just maybe looks up and gets hit right in the head. So what are we? What by rule? What's the minimum foul?
Minimum's 2 non-release.
Locked. Yeah, 2 locked.
Okay. And we want to make sure we use defenseless player, and we had direct contact to the head.
Yep. And it looked like more than 5 yards potentially too.
I'm not. It all happens in kind of close.
Video there? I know I put it in
I
there.
mean, he's.
It's coming up now. Came
I,
up.
I don't.
Maybe
There's
When
also
he-
no 5 yards.
Yeah, there's no
No
5
5 yard rule.
yards. I mean, it's definitely.
Right.
I think.
we can use this.
I don't know that the kid is necessarily headhunting there.
Right.
It's just a very, very bad man ball. So what would be the appropriate foul for that young man?
I'll give him a 5-minute major, put him in the box.
All right.
I'd like 2 minutes locked in.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Okay. Is there anybody who would think about going to 3 minutes?
Current one. Was you.
There was a
Probably
lot
not,
of,
maybe depending on the
No.
game, or if this guy's got
Yeah.
a couple other, if he's already sitting on a couple, and maybe this,
Okay.
and you get in that 5th minute, that gets him out of your hair.
All right. But
I don't think it wasn't intentional. It just kind of happened in that sequence.
in and of itself, I think that 2 minutes is perfect.
Right.
Okay.
Standalone, I'm giving him 2 minutes.
I
right?
think that's what you want. He doesn't really take any steps to get to him. You know, it is right to his head. You know, it's a defenseless player, but it's also a tough play. You know, you got to understand that. You know, a lot's going on. So 2 minutes is appropriate, and that's what this crew had on that play. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, and on this one, I just want you. This is off of a face-off, and we're gonna have some substitution going on. And this guy, I don't know if it's this guy, another guy's gonna kind of curl around, and at the same time, I need you to watch up here. Okay, and I'll play it a couple times. All right. Everybody see it?
Yeah, we
I
saw.
can see the
Yep.
presentation. Okay, I'll leave it right there. Yeah.
All right. Who? Crap.
We got a 40-yard head start.
How many yards?
40 yards.
40-yard head start. Okay. What else is there?
Targeting
else?
3-minute ejection.
It was late.
Late.
Targeting 3-minute ejection.
Okay. Mike Wilbur says that he would eject that kid. Okay, we have a couple things. We have a 25-yard run. Where does it appear that he hits him, or at least ends up hitting him?
Head or neck area.
Okay, we're in the head or neck area.
From behind.
Okay. I don't know if it's
Share
behind.
the video one more time. I was looking at the guys coming in and out of the box. Okay, here we go.
He gets him from the side.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's kind of hard. It's hard to see.
you know. So look, it checks a lot of boxes, right?
Yep.
Certainly the 25-yard, 30-yard run up. Okay, and the drive through the head. Is there anybody here who still believes that has anything to
Right
do
here.
with the sport of lacrosse?
Okay, but not for me.
I've muted everybody so you can open your mic back up.
Right, and
Because I
he's
think-
significantly late. He's just
He
taking.
was headhunting.
He was just taking
the guy
shot.
out.
Yeah.
Free shot in.
Yep.
Okay. So that's definitely one that we should have an ejection for. And ultimately we did.
I don't know.
Okay.
Good for them.
Paul said that he has a meeting.
Will you please all mute your microphones? Jesus Christ. This is the perfect example where we have flags and both officials had flags. Okay. Come together, discuss it. Okay, you've got lots of time. There were medical personnel on the field for a while. You know, we had a lot going on. But ultimately, when you see that, particularly with that long run up and that high, and not even attempt to slow down, you know, before he delivers the hit. Okay. And then punching and following through. If ever there was something made to eject a player, that was it. And we need to make sure that we're thinking in these directions, and these kids start to understand, that if you don't play within the rules, you could be just spot up ejected from the game. And that's very important.
Greg, that looked like, I just went back and watched the play before that. That looked like retaliation because, the targeting the play that you had right before it was white laid out red, and then and then now
I will tell you this just to give you some context. It's not retaliation.
Okay.
I don't believe it could be. Okay.
Okay. I believe you. I just it looked like that guy clearly was headhunting. Like he had a reason to go out.
But you do bring up a good point about, retaliation. Once you have a big hit like that, you probably should get your spidey senses going a little bit. That we need to, make sure we don't have any retaliation or anything. All right. The last thing I want to talk about, and Chris Patrone kind of brought this up. I don't know how many people are on the men's lacrosse officials page on Facebook. Chris, do you want to kind of set this up?
Sure. So it was a post, I don't know, maybe Wednesday, Thursday. It sparked a lot of discussion and a lot of people saying, check with your state rules interpreter on what you're supposed to be doing. So essentially, team A is clearing the ball within the 20 seconds. They throw the ball from their defensive end into the box. It touches the box, bounces out of the box, and team A, attackman, whatever, picks it up, say, in the alley. Do you or don't you start a 10-second count? And so I think there were like 60 comments, and there was a lot of confusion on it. And so I just if we had extra time in the meeting, I just thought it would be a good thing to just talk about, because a lot of people were confused about it.
No, I think it's a great point of clarification. And I actually did call our state's rules interpreter, and we talked about it for a little while. So basically, you got to go back to, first of all, the advancement rules, right? So when you get possession in your defensive end, you have 20 seconds to get the ball over the line. Okay. It can be loose, it can be in possession. Once it's over the line, the 20 seconds is over. Once you possess the ball in your offensive side, you have 10 seconds to get it into your box. Okay. And to satisfy that 10 seconds, the ball just has to touch something in the box, right? When we get to the get it in, keep it in. So the last 2 minutes of the game, and we have a 4-game point differential, the team winning has to keep it in. So we have to make sure we understand, and there's confusion about this, that if the defensive team gets it and they're on the 20-second count and they just chuck it and throw it down and it goes in the box or touches something in the box and comes out, that get it in, that first 10 seconds has not been satisfied. Okay. If it comes back out of the box and it is possessed, they have 10 seconds to get it in. Okay. So you can't call an illegal procedure just because it came from the defensive area, never possessed by the offense, and hit the box. Does that make sense? And then just to confuse it a little more, once you have possession and you're on that 10-second count, in the get it and keep it in situation, if it rolls through the box, it is a turnover. Unless it hit a defensive player before it went back out. Any questions? JP, you want to clear anything up?
No, so it's very simple. If it touches in the box from the defensive end, it does not satisfy. If the offense crosses midfield, they've had possession on their offensive side of the field, and it touches inside the box on the ground, the 10 seconds is satisfied. So then, yes, then you start thinking about the get it in, keep it in. If it touched in and they crossed over midfield, it's satisfied. If it rolls out, that's a violation, as long as the defense didn't touch it. So yeah, it's just you just have to think: is it at a defensive end and it touched the ground or something in the box? 10 seconds is not satisfied. If they're over midfield, the 10-second count has started, and it touches the ground or something in the box, it's satisfied. That's the easiest way to think about it. Defensive end of the field or offensive end of the field. Where did the ball come from before it entered the box?
Well,
All right.
an easier answer would be it has to cross the midline in possession of the offense before you start 10 seconds one way or the other.
Yeah, that's what we
Right.
just said.
Right, kind of,
just-
yeah. So what was
once-
Chris? What was the argument on the Facebook page?
No, here, I'll answer that. The old argument was, and it was very unclear in the rule book before, if you threw the ball from the defensive area and it went into the offensive area, into the box, you had satisfied the count. That was never intended to be, and now specifically it's addressed in the rules.
Okay.
So
I'm confused now, Greg. So you've got two scenarios. You have one the last 2 minutes, and then one you've got regular play. Let's talk about regular play. If the defense launches it, it goes in, it hits the box, and then rolls out, they satisfy the 10-second count, correct?
they have not. They can't satisfy the 10-second count in any instance until they've possessed it in their offensive area, in their offensive half. So if it's launched, goes through the box, the offense picks it up, they still are under an obligation 10 seconds to get it in the box.
Okay, once they cross midfield in possession, then the 10 count starts.
The 10 count starts once they cross midfield in possession or once they gain possession in the offensive half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Makes sense? So now, of course, if it goes into the box and they pick it up in the box, just like our example with Mike's signal, immediately they've satisfied that count. So I would suggest talking about this during your pre-games. I like to try to get to my crew fourth quarter on a close game when we're going to have to worry about this stuff. And make sure we kind of are on the same page and we're prepared to explain things to coaches. Right. It's a confusing time. It's also, this is the time of the game that a mistake could, create a problem, cost a goal, something like that.
Hey, Greg, in the chat, someone asked, and regarding that scenario, where can we see that in the rule book?
Stand by. I will tell you because it's on that post.
We're thanking 2 years.
Give me 1 second. I'll give you the exact. Dun, dun, dun. Page 44, Rule 4.14, Article 1.
And I will add, the coaches don't know this rule. So you and your crew, you need to know this rule. So everyone needs to go to page 44. Everyone needs to read it. If you have questions, email, just copy Greg and I on it. And we will make sure that all questions about this rule, we put together a response and send it to everyone with any questions that come in. We'll give you, a couple days to get your questions in, read it, digest it, talk about it, send in any questions you have. And then Greg and I will get something out to everyone.
Would it help if I listed out some scenarios with the different counts and things
That would be super helpful.
and vet it through Greg and JP, and then it can get sent out to everybody, including those that aren't on the meeting tonight?
Yeah. Chris, if you want, make a Google Doc and just share it with the two of us. We can just kind of we can edit it all together.
Sure.
All right.
Greg,
Yes.
Greg. So it's kind of like when you yell possession, whether the guy has the ball or not. Once you yell possession, everybody can leave. If you're doing a hand count, whether the ball went in the box or not, you personally feel that the 10 hasn't been satisfied. So the coach can argue all he wants, but if you're hand counting, it's up to him to yell for the kid to get it in, right?
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
one thing I have.
So as long as we know the
Harvey.
rule, so as long as we knew the rule,
Yeah.
and the coach, he can't argue if you said, "Coach, I'm hand counting." Tell him to get it in.
Yep.
Don't argue the fact that you think it was already in. Just get it in.
Right. One other thing I do want to kind of bring up with that, and we talk about communication on the field. If you're on the far side from where the person, whether it's the single or the lead, making the count, it's always a good thing to kind of stand like this if they don't have it in, and you're telling your partner they don't have it in yet, keep counting. Okay. I even had a scenario the other day where I think there was some confusion where it looked like a guy went in the box and the team started the sub and the single was still counting, but nobody on that bench seemed to know that. So I was a trail. I just started waving my arm and I said, it's still you, but just so there was not a doubt that they were under the count. And that's to your point, Harvey, that if they see you chopping, they should think I got to get a touch and they should start yelling. So does that make sense? But communicate that with your partner. They got it in, they didn't get it in. That's why I brought up the point with Mike's good arm chop. Everybody knows if you chop a couple times and put it in, that now we're in the box, over and back is in play. Nobody has to touch it and all that. Any more questions about that?
No.
Excellent. All right, let's move on to our elections. So this year, we only do our North representative, our South representative. All right, our kind of at-large reps. I asked on Frank, our election coordinator's behalf, for nominations. Frank had a family emergency out of state, and we want to make sure we got this done. So I've had from different people the following nominations, and I'm going to ask them because I think they're all in the meeting if they will accept their nomination or they don't want to accept their nomination. All right. So for the North representative, Shaw Fu and Mark Buraplant. Can you guys just open your mics real quick and either accept or decline your nomination?
I'm going to decline my nomination. I appreciate it, but I'm going to hold off this year.
Shaw Fu.
He doesn't have a choice.
I will accept.
I'm
Okay.
driving, but I will accept.
All right. Michael Hernandez.
I accept.
Okay. All right. So appreciate the nominations. I appreciate everybody's participation. So there's not going to be a reason to hold an election. We'll continue with these representatives this year. A couple of things. I would encourage you, next year will be a complete slate. So president, vice president, treasurer, and the two at-large representatives. The fact that we get few nominations tells me either the group that's in there is doing a good job and you're happy with your board of directors, or we have a bunch of lazy people that don't want to get involved. So I think it's the first one. I hope it's not the second one, because I do know from talking to a lot of you, we have people that want to get involved. And for most people who've wanted to get involved, I'm finding ways to get you involved. If you think you have a certain talent or trait or something like that that can help our group out, give me a call. We want to get people as involved as possible, and there are places, where people could get involved. So, any questions about that? Any comments?
Mr. President, parliamentary procedure requires a vote, and I will place one vote for for Shaw Fu and for Mike Hernandez for North and South representatives.
Okay. So, Mr. Vice President, do we have to still even hold just a voice vote or a vote of potential no?
No, my one vote covers the association.
Okay, so they both win unanimously
That is correct.
by the largest majority we've ever seen in the DLOA. It's going to be amazing, right? Incredible. They've never seen anything like it, have they?
I'm laughing. Stop.
All right. I thought I had another slide that said any new business or discussion. So at this point, do we have any discussion or new business?
Yeah, let me clarify. Just to reiterate, Article 2 says the requirement for advancing the ball is met with when the ball touches anything within that area or a player in possession of the ball touches the line or inside the goal area. 100% correct. But you cannot have a 10-second count until the ball is possessed on the offensive side of the field. So a ball launched from defensive end into the box, the 10-second count doesn't exist because the offensive team has not possessed the ball. Does that make sense? Does everyone understand that? So it doesn't say that in this rule, but in the 10-second count part of the rule, it does say crossing the center line with possession or gaining possession. So Article 2 explains when it is satisfied, but launching it from the defensive end, you can't have a 10-second count because Article 1 hasn't been met. All right, he got it. He knows who I'm talking to. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Any other potential discussion, questions, problems, situations?
Hey, Greg. It's Dave Leon.
Yep.
I had a interesting question from a coach the other day. He said that if one of his players gets a penalty and it's a delayed penalty, and it's kind of towards the end of the game, and they know that, they're going to try to kill the clock. If one of his players intentionally drops his stick and plays that player to stop the clock, is there an additional call to that?
You're talking about the team that the flag down is on?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that we should address the intentionality of it because we don't always know. But if a player is playing without a stick, JP can correct me, and gets involved with the play when there's a flag down, that's a second flag down, which would do what?
Kill the play.
I want to be very, very careful at getting in the business of intentionally doing something.
But by rule, if he's playing without, that's a second flag down.
Right.
So what the coach is saying is he wants to try and end the play. Okay, you can do that. Do whatever you want. But if there's a second flag down, yes, we're going to kill it right away.
Okay, so there would be a second flag because we weren't sure if we were locking in the penalty or just throwing another second flag.
No, it would be a second. It's a technical foul. So because the flag down denotes possession, and that's probably better than some of the alternatives to draw that second flag.
And it's a serving technical foul.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I guess what I was getting at the sportsmanship issue of that, it's almost like a defensive injury or intentional defensive injury. But, by rule, if he does that, then you're just going to have a second flag and kill the play.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep. I did want to mention, I meant to mention one other thing, very quickly. We have had several coaches. I haven't heard much from in the South, but several up north who have this impression that their part of their job responsibility is to question us and argue with us and debate with us throughout the game. Very specifically, that is not the case. They the rules are very specific in several places about arguing calls, judgment, things like that. And I would expect, that maybe 2 or 3 times during a game, there'd be an ask for an explanation of your judgment, of a call, which is fine to give, and I like to say in the right tone and at the right time. But coaches coming out on the field to talk to you during timeouts, between quarters, as you're trying to administer penalties, as you're trying to have a conversation with your partners about adjudicating a certain play, is not appropriate. And we need to stop allowing coaches to come out there and do that. We need to stop allowing coaches to take 4, 5, 6, 10 steps on the field to argue and debate calls voraciously. The first time, tell them, coach, go back to your coaching box. I'll come over and talk to you the next time I get by you. We can have a quick discussion. We should not be discussing judgment calls. If you want to explain something, that's fine. But I would always say by about the third time they've asked you in the first 5 minutes of the game, you got to just shut it down. There is one spot in the rule book where they have the ability to ask for a conference if they think you've misapplied a rule. Their disagreement that you called something a push or you passed on a push is not an application of a rule. An application of a rule would be, not awarding a free clear on interference with the goalie when he had possession. And if you misunderstood and misapplied it. And there's very certain time constraints to get all that done. So please, if you get those coaches that are on the field, walk them back. If they're not getting it, give them a conduct foul. If they're still not getting it, work them up the ladder. Okay. The coach does not have the right, the duty, the responsibility to argue with you. It's the exact opposite. Okay. They have a duty to help you to control the game. And bitching and sniping about everything that you do or your partner does and being vocal about it is in violation of the rules. So when you come across those guys, and I think some of you know who I'm talking about, help us to get it straight. If you have specific on and on problems with a coach, please let us know. JP and I have already had discussions with a couple of athletic directors about their coaches' behavior. And tried to get them to work with us to have an understanding of what the relationship between the referee and the coach should be and what should be appropriate, what shouldn't be. And I think we've been successful. So with that.
Greg, I have a question. Greg.
Yeah.
This is for you and JP. So in Maryland, when I worked in Maryland, if we have somebody at the end of the period that's going to serve a penalty, we usually don't do a stick check. It's not in the book. I worked with somebody that's fairly new the other day who's a good official, and he said, well, if it's not in the book, I don't know it. And I said, well, it's kind of an implied rule. You don't want to put another person in the box and, influence the game. Is that pretty much your guys' policy in Delaware as well?
Yeah, I would say so. And not because we don't want to put another guy in the box, but because when there's guys in the box, we have to talk about, there's a variety of situations you potentially have to talk about. Are we having a face-off? If not, where's the ball starting?
Right.
We probably have to explain that to coaches, and we don't want to use that time up doing a stick check.
Okay.
So
well, no, I was always told that we don't want to affect the game by putting 2 guys in the box at the same time. That was the only reason
that could be part of it, but I think it's just more. There's a lot of stuff going on. So the way I learned it was if you have a lot of stuff going on at the end of a quarter or a timeout, skip the stick check.
Right.
You can always get back to it later, or the coach can
Right.
always ask for it.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yep. Thank you. All right. So with that, keep doing a good job. 2 more weeks to the regular season. Looking for the playoffs, looking for the summer. As always, if you want to discuss anything, have any concerns about the group, anything like that, my line is always open. Please give me a call. I'd rather that we talk through things and resolve any angst or concerns you have before they become bad. I believe we can work things out. And when I don't hear from people, it just tells me I think we're doing a good job. I tell Bennett all the time, when I send out an email and I don't get any responses, I'm like, did my email even make it out? Did anybody get it? So either the emails are well written and people understand, or people are just so pissed off they don't want to reply. But I think it's the first. So with that, have a great
Greg?
season. Yes, Rich.
Can you stay on, you and JP, for a second, please?
Sure.
Thanks.
All right. Well, with that, have a great rest of your Sunday. Have a great week. And I hope to see you all very soon.
Up to 6, Mark. Between 2 and 6.
Okay. Greg, JP.
We still got people.
Well, that's
Yeah,
okay.
well,
It was just something that happened, and I was a little bit unclear, with lacrosse.
Yep.
Question, Greg. I'm sorry. I was just gonna
Hold
add.
on,
So I didn't want to. Well, if you're
wait,
gonna talk
George,
sports,
George.
Yeah.
Rich
Yes.
is in the middle of asking. Rich is in the middle of asking.
No, can I listen to the question? Can I listen to his question?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
go
he
ahead.
already
Yeah,
said yes. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
No, so it was Red Lion playing McCain, and it was 12-0 about 3 minutes into the second quarter. Red Lions scored 3 more goals, and the coach from McCain said, "Can we just go to running time?"